What's going on, guys? Welcome to LowKick MMA Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me is Jordan Ellis. And this week's episode is brought to you by PFL, the Professional Fighters League, who have their first event of the season live on ESPN2 on April 23rd, headlined by the former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis, taking on Clay Collard. But more on that later. First, we'll get to UFC 261, which is this weekend, headlined by the welterweight champion Kamaru Usman and the challenger Jorge Masvidal. Thoughts on the card before we break it all down? Thoughts on the card overall?
Yeah, it's epic. I'm glad to see fans back. A stadium fight for me. I know some people have said they like not having fans there. They can hear coaches and hear all this stuff. For me, since the first event, I've wanted the fans back. Glad to see them back and coming back with a bang. 3 title fights. Lots to look forward to. A huge card and potentially one of the biggest of the year. So yeah, let's get into it.
For sure. We'll jump in at the top then, and we do have the rematch between Usman and Masvidal, a fight that we only saw in June of last year, and something a lot of people probably didn't think was going to be next for Usman. But hey, here we are. It's a pretty obvious striker versus grappler matchup in this one, but I do expect Usman to try and prove something on the feet in this fight. What do you think?
I think he will. He'll engage at the start, but I think he'll quickly realise it's not worth it. I think as champions cement their status as champion, they become a bit more cautious. We've seen that with Tyron Woodley, GSP, Jordan, their welterweight reigns. I expect Usman to be smart in this fight. I wouldn't engage too much because Masvidal, you don't want to write him off. He can punch, he can knock you out. He's knocked out, Darren Till, I'd say he's one of the better strikers in the UFC. He's had some huge wins and he's got a full camp now. So that was his excuse for using last time. I think it'll be a similar fight. It'll be just as dominant, I think, on Usman's part. I think he'll be able to wrestle and grapple him and get the win. But make no mistake, Masvidal is a live dog in this fight. He's very, very capable of knocking out Usman. So great fights, great main event. I am a bit upset we're getting it so soon after we've just seen the last one, but can't complain. It's still a good fight.
And what do you think, 10 months, how many adjustments do you think Masvidal can make to change the outcome of this fight? Because let's not forget, it was short notice for both Masvidal and Usman. So Usman's getting a full camp for Masvidal in this one. Who do you think can make the better adjustments, if any, to try and spin the fight in their favor,
Yeah, because Usman was actually preparing for Gilbert Burns and he's managed to fight him since, and he didn't fight Gilbert Burns the way he fought Masvidal, so it seems like he's had to make an adjustment there. But Masvidal's, he's coming off the couch basically, whereas Usman was ready for the fight of his life against Gilbert Burns anyway. So there is a difference. I do think that the extra camp will benefit Masvidal, but I'm not sure. He's just got to stay off that cage. He was allowing himself to be held and be out grappled in them positions, and he's just got to disengage. And every time Usman comes in for that type of stuff, he's got to shut it down. He's got to ping him with something. He's got to make him wary of stepping in. So yeah, there's stuff for Masvidal to work on, and Usman will obviously, he'll want to be more impressive, because last time it was holding, it was stamping on feet. It weren't the best performance as a champion, and he'll want to go out and make a statement this time by beating Masvidal. There does seem to be a bit of heat there, and he'll want to settle it and continue to push on with his welterweight record for wins. It's very impressive, and people are comparing him to GSP last time. I don't think he's there yet, but it all goes towards his legacy, and by the time he's finished Usman, we might be talking about Usman as the best welterweight ever.
And let me just throw this out there. If Masvidal does get the win here, do you think we get a trilogy straight after this? And if we do get a trilogy, do you think the fans will want to see the trilogy?
I don't think we got a trilogy. I think if Masvidal wins, he's going to knock him out, and it's going to be pretty early. So I think fans maybe will just be like, Usman needs to go away and work on his game. And then there's also the fact that Colby Covington's right there. And for me, that's a huge fight. Jorge Masvidal against Colby Covington, for me, is bigger than this fight. It was bigger than this fight when it was first booked. I think it's the biggest fight you can make at welterweight. And if Masvidal wins, it just makes it so much bigger. So that's the fight I'd expect them to go if Masvidal wins. And obviously, Usman will feel hard done by not getting an immediate, shot at his title. But I just don't think he will.
And final picks from you. I'm taking Usman in this one.
I'm taking Usman. I just don't see. He's too complete. He's got too much. He's a proper mixed martial artist, and Masvidal, he's got one way to win this, in my opinion. It's catching him with something early, and it could happen. but I just don't think it will.
All right, we'll move on to another title fight then, because there is 3 on this card. It says on both the UFC's page and on Google, and I'm assuming on Wikipedia, where you probably are, that the co-main in this one is actually the women's strawweight title fight between Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas. We'll jump to that one next. What do you think of this fight? Obviously, last time we saw Zhang out, it was a war against Jędrzejczyk, and Rose we saw against Andrade last time. A fairly close fight, but Rose took away in the last 2 rounds and dominated the last 2 and won the fight. How do you think this one just unfolds, and what do you think of the matchup itself?
Love it. I think it's the best fight you can make at this division, and I like the fact that it's co-main event, because for me, it's the second biggest fight on the card. That strawweight division is stacked. These are the 2 best fighters in that strawweight division. I like Rose in it. I think Rose is. I don't like the way she's speaking in the lead up to this fight and things like that. But every time I see her in the octagon, she looks sensational. And she only lost the title through like a freak type incident. And I don't want to discredit Andrade, but it was a weird one. It was a weird way to lose your title. And you come back, she got that win back, and now she's back in with Zhang. So yeah, I think she's very capable of causing the upset in this one.
And what do you think is going to give her the advantage? Do you think it's going to be like a grappling difference, a striking difference? How do you think she gets it done?
I think it's being a pure mix of martial arts, as we spoke about with Usman then. Joanna, she's just a striker. And to strike with Zhang is going to be tough, because she's so big, she's so strong, and she punches so hard. I think Namajunas has got the striking, but she's going to use the striking to set up, takedowns, grappling, submission attempts. I think if she gets it done, she might even catch you with like a head kick and then transition into some type of choke. She's got it all. Namajunas, she's a true mixed martial artist, and she can get this done in a few different ways.
Yeah, I agree with you there, although I am taking Zhang in this one. I think the power is going to be the key difference, and while she might not put Rose out, I think it's gonna make enough damage that the judges have to give it to her, much like in the Jędrzejczyk fight. What really won her that fight, because it was razor close, the fact that I think won her on the judges' scorecards was the damage that was showing on her opponent's face, and I think this is going to be a similar case where Rose wears the damage, whereas Zhang just looks unscathed, well, not unscathed, but I do think Zhang takes this one, and I think the power's a key factor in it.
Yeah, and if she probably will, I think Rose by the end of the fight will look worse, but I don't think that's correct judging criteria. Some people just are not blessed with good skin and don't blemish, and then there's other people, Nate Diaz, all you have to do is breathe in his direction and he's cut and it looks bad, but so we can't look too much into that. But I like Namajunas. I've been a big fan since the tough days. It's been great to see her rise to the top, and I'd like to see her be more competitive. I'd like to see her, staying away from the politics side of stuff in this fight. Zhang seems like a nice enough girl. Rose seems nice. They can have a friendly rivalry and get in there. But for me, this is a brilliant fight. The 2 best strawweights on the planet. I think Rose will win. I think she might actually stop her. She might sub her.
Yeah, and let's look at MMA maths for this. Rose finished in Jędrzejczyk, Zhang couldn't do it. So if you're going to go by that, then I guess Rose is your pick in this one. I'm taking Zhang, you're taking Rose. We'll jump on to the flyweight title bout, which is before that one, allegedly, according to all the sites we're looking at, between Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Andrade. Andrade, the former strawweight champion who has losses to both the fighters fighting after her, taking a title shot after 1 win in the flyweight division against the champ, Shevchenko. I don't think it's going to be any shock to you that I'm picking Shevchenko on this one.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way to go. I can see Andrade is the best test she's had at 125, Shevchenko, but I'd still say she's a level below. But the way she can catch her is the fact that Andrade's been mixing it with Zhang, she's been mixing it with Namajunas, and for a while now, Shevchenko has been fighting, in my opinion, subpar competition. That 125 division. It's Valentina, and then it's everyone else. Everyone else is so far below her that maybe she's been taking it easy. Like the fact that Jennifer Maia got a round off her last time, that was like a big wow. So the competition hasn't been there, and now she's going to go in with a former champion who's powerful, got big takedowns and things like that. So I expected to give it a test, but I expect Shevchenko to pass the test and look fantastic. I think the better her opposition is, the better we'll see her.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I just truly think that the size difference is going to be too much for Andrade to overcome, because for her to get in close and get these takedowns, she's going to go through the onslaught of what Shevchenko could throw against her. I think I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm sure Jennifer Maia is a bigger girl than Andrade. And height-wise is what I'm really... Height and reach, you know? So I think she's going to have a lot of trouble. I expect Shevchenko to get a highlight reel finish in this one. I think she's going to put her out with something like a head kick or... probably a head kick. If my money's on something, it's a head kick. And I do think that she will get that done and then retain her title.
Yeah, I'm expecting something special as well, because I just think Andrade's not going to be scared. She's not going to, come for a decision defeat. She's going to come to win, and that's going to leave her vulnerable. And someone like Shevchenko is going to take advantage of that. She's one of the best female fighters we've ever seen, potentially the best. And I expect to look at UFC 6-1.
For sure. Before that, middleweights, Uriah Hall and Chris Weidman. I believe this is a rescheduled fight. I can't remember when it was meant to happen, maybe a month or so ago. Have they fought before, or am I losing my mind?
Yeah, they fought when they were, I think, Uriah Hall was 3-0, or Chris Weidman was 3-0, Uriah Hall was 4-0, and that's when they fought outside the UFC for a regional title. And Weidman got the win in that one, a quick finish. I don't think he'll get the finish in this one. I think it'll be a long, a 3-round fight, but I expect them to dominate that. For me, Uriah Hall is one of the most, he's failed to live up to his potential, and that's the potential I tagged on him from watching him in the Ultimate Fighter and things like that. He looked like a killer. He looked like a potential champion, and now he looks gun shy of anything. He struggled against Anderson Silva, who's 45 years old and far done with his best UFC days. So I expect Weidman to go in, take him down, and dominate the fight for as long as it lasts.
I'll play devil's advocate here. I think that the reason Hall really struggled in that, well, he didn't struggle, but the reason he didn't look great in that Silva fight was the fact that Silva's dangerous on the feet. I don't care that he's on 8 losers in a row or whatever his record is. He's still dangerous on the feet, whereas a Weidman I don't think is as much of an issue on the feet. And I'm sure he understands that Weidman's game plan is going to be to take him down. So if Hall comes to this fight in the right mindset, if he's mentally all there, I think he can probably put on a good showing. I'm still going to take Weidman. I think it's just because he's going to dominate with wrestling. But if he can manage to stop the takedowns, it's going to be a really dangerous fight for Weidman, because on the feet, I think Hall is superior.
On his day, Uriah Hall is a championship level fighter. He is that good. His day just doesn't come often enough. We obviously seen him beat Mousasi, who, for many people might be the best middleweight in the world right now, and back then he might have been as well. So he's a brilliant fighter. He just, for me, I think the occasion gets the better of him. He, even against before Silva, I think it was someone else, maybe Bevon Lewis. He was hesitating. He does hesitate, or Antonio Jr., Carlos Jr. It's just not impressive. And the moments every so often, what you want him to be able to do is carry this form and do it every fight, but he just can't. And I think Weidman, despite losing a lot lately, I think he's been in the fights until he's been knocked out, or he's still competing at that level, and he's dropped down. He's got a convincing but impressive win against Akhmedov, and I expect him to look similar in this one, a wrestling heavy win.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Pretty much all I'd say for that one. We'll go to the opening fight on the main card between my countryman, Jimmy Crute, taking on Anthony Smith, which is a bit of jump in the rankings for Crute, I believe, and also probably a jump in competition level outside of Misha Sergenov. But even then, I think this is the toughest challenge he's had so far. And I'm really excited to watch this one. I think it's a great fight. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a really fun fight. I was looking at the odds today. I think Jimmy Crute's going to be the favourite heading into this one as well, which I was quite surprised about. I like him. I think he's a potential contender down the line. I do think this is a couple of steps in level, and I think Smith might make a statement by making quick work of Jimmy Crute. But obviously, with young talent, you never know. Maybe this is his time to shine. But I think it might be a bit early for him.
I am going to take Crute, not just because he's Australian, but also because I just think his power is better than Smith. And on the feet, I think he's a better striker. Smith does have a bit of a grappling advantage here. I just don't know if Crute's counter wrestling is so bad that he's going to end up getting put in a tough position. I think he can keep the fight standing and just, dominate it. Whether he gets a finish or not, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he'll do the better work on the feet. So, I will take Crute in this one.
I think it's going to be a fun fight. You know, if talking about fight tonight, that might be one I'm looking forward to and looking forward to watching that. I like the fact that Smith has lost a couple of fights and has been willing to step down his level of opposition and, you know, go back to the drawing board, fight Devin Clark, look fantastic. For giving this guy, Jimmy Crute, a big chance to step up his level of competition as well. You know, it takes it takes a lot of balls to do that because he's putting his reputation on the line. You know, Jimmy Crute's going to jump off the back of him if he beats him. And where'd you go if you're Anthony Smith, if you lose this one? So, yeah, a big fight, big fight.
100%. And that wraps up the main card. We've got some prelims here. I'll throw it to you to go through and pick out the ones you're interested in.
Here we go. Well, the first one I was looking at earlier was Carl Robinson is fighting.
Brendan Allen.
Who's he fighting? Yeah, I like that fight. I think it's a good clash of styles. I think Brendan Allen, he might take that one. I think he's got the wrestling advantage. Every time Robertson has lost, he's been submitted and out grappled. So I'm expecting something similar. I think Allen might even get that finish.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's exactly what I thought when I saw this matchup. Because when was the last time Robertson fought? Was it the Vettori loss? Is that the last time?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and that was the fight where he just got taken down. Well, he just got dominated, right? And he ended up getting submitted there by a rear naked choke, if my memory serves correct. And I think Brendan Allen's grappling is just as good as Vettori's in terms of submission skills. When was the last time that Brendan Allen got a submission? Was it when he fought Kevin Holland?
Let's have a look. Yeah, he lost his last one, didn't he, to Strawn Strickland, and then Kevin Holland was the last sub. But I think he's got it all on the mat. I think he's last time out he didn't look good. We've got to note that, you know, Strawn Strickland, you know, boxed his head off. It was a bad loss. But I just feel like this matchup is a really nice matchup for Allen to come back to. I feel like he's seen a route to victory. You know, people like Vettori have you know, showed him the way and how to do it. And Robertson's going to have to stop that. But Robinson is a tough guy as well. He's got some good big wins and he'll be wanting to get back in the win column. So definitely want to look out for on that undercard. For
sure. Anything else on there or we'll move on?
I like the Alex Oliveira against Randy Brown fight as well, topping off the card. It's the prelims anyway. I like that one. I think Randy Brown is a really good fighter. He's just struggling to get to that next level, but he's 30 years old. He's still got it all to do. And I think this could be, you know, kind of a coming out party if he goes out there, makes a statement, but it's never an easy night against Cowboy. So yeah, really fun fight, but this is a very top heavy card. So it is the main card we're going to focus on because it's very strong.
Absolutely, and that'll pretty much wrap up that event then. Should be a good one. Excited to see what happens there. Also this week, on Friday, April 23rd, we have PFL, which we spoke about earlier. Obviously, the lightweights, Anthony Pettis and Clay Collard, taking on ESPN 2 at 9 p.m. ET. Should be a good one. What do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, it's great. First of all, I just want to say, you know, great to be partnered with Professional Fighters League. I really like what they're doing. I like the format. I like the fact that they're going out and signing big names. You know, I think Wadoom's over there now. We've got Rory McDonald, Pettis, Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields, one of the biggest name in women's boxing. She's over there. You know, it's fantastic what they're doing. And the fact that at the end of the tournament, someone gets $1 million. It's epic. So glad to be on board with them and really like this fight. I like the fact that Pettis has gone to another organization, tested himself again, and it'll be interesting to see how he does. I think he should be able to win. He should be able to progress in this one. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get the knockout. I'm not sure, but I expect him to win.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off 2 wins, isn't he? Against Alex Morono and Donald Cerrone. Cerrone one was a bit on the border. It was a close fight, but the other one was dominant, right? So I think this is going to be a fun test for him to change organizations. And for Collard, this is a great name for him to get on his resume if he can get a win here, you know, because everyone knows Anthony Pettis. He's a stable name in the sport. So if he can get a win here, it will be very good for him. I think it's really going to be a matter of how much does Pettis plan on wrestling in this matchup? Because if we look at Collard, recently he had a boxing run stint, which I believe is his most recent fights. In MMA, he's on a 2-fight win streak, but in boxing, I believe he's lost his last 2 fights, but he had a winning streak before that. So his striking is going to be high level. Like his boxing is going to be high level. I know Pettis has some impressive kicks and whatnot, but the easiest route to victory, in my opinion, for Pettis would be to take this to the ground.
Yeah, it would be smart. And I like the fact that Pettis has been mixing it, you know, with the top guys for a while. He might have 10 losses on his record, but they're also, you know, the creme de la creme. Whereas Collard, I think he's got 8 losses on a record. And I'm not actually sure who beat him. So there is a difference in, Pettis, who he's been fighting, and Clay Collard. So can he, rise to that level to take on Pettis and take him out? But at the same time, with Pettis, dropping down and taking someone like Collard, does he take it easy? Is he being smart? How is he fighting? He hasn't looked at his best lately. He might have picked up a couple of wins, but it's clear he's not championship level in the UFC anymore. Can he go and do another run in the PFL and become a champion again? It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and also for being a champion in PFL, you get that $1 million prize as well. So there's a lot to strive towards winning these fights in this one. The card will be on April 23rd, like I said before. The main card will kick off at 9 p.m. But before that, the prelims will be on ESPN Plus at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Main card on ESPN 2. Any other fights in there you want to pick up?
Well, the first one I want to talk about is our guy from the UK, Brendan Loughnane. If people who don't remember, he was on Dana White's Contender Series. He was on The Ultimate Fighter, and he's been passed up on a couple of times. And for me, it was very surprising, considering he is, one of the best guys we've got in the UK. Full stop. 19-3, 10 knockout wins. He's a brilliant fighter, and he takes on Shaman Marias, who's just come off the UFC, and he's been in there with the likes of, Zabit lately. I think he was in with Sadiq Yusuf and Andre Feely as well. So really fun fight on this card. The featherweight, obviously, I'm backing the Englishman. I like Brendan Loughnane. I think he can win this whole thing. And it's going to be great to see him in action too.
For sure. And so, again, catch the action on ESPN 2 on April 23rd. PFL is back. I guess we'll move on to the news now. Do you want to grab anything off the bat, or you want me to throw some stuff out there?
You go.
All right, so I've got the Ultimate Fighter is obviously being filmed now, I believe, or shortly. And Alexander Volkanovski showed off his team of coaches. I don't know if you saw it, but if you didn't see it, you can pull it up on his Instagram. I just thought it was notable that he's brought in Craig Jones as his grappling coach for his team. I think that's a really big move. Craig Jones is one of the best grapplers in jiu-jitsu. So to have him on the coaching team for the people that end up on his team is going to be a big asset,
Yeah, and Craig Jones was meant to be fighting Gabby Garcia, weren't he? Or grappling match with Gabby Garcia. So yeah, it's good to see him. It's good to see Tough back. I'm not sure. Obviously, they were planning to have Masvidal and Usman coach or Usman and someone coach, and it seems like it's going to be a much more fan friendly season. And these two guys, there's no animosity, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I like the format. I still think it's got something to offer. I think we're still getting top level guys from there. So yeah, looking forward to watching.
For sure. Let me just go back to the page. Do you want to talk about Daniel Cormier being called out by Jake Paul, or we didn't speak about that the other day, I don't believe, did we?
I don't think we have, but to be fair, it's quite nice to see Jake Paul actually, trying to fight someone who's heavier than him. He's 190 pounds and look pretty lean. Ben Askren is a 170 on his best day, isn't he? Really, he probably potentially could even get down to 155 if he really put some effort in. So yeah, I like to see him call out bigger guys. Daniel Cormier's got boxing, but it's not going to happen. I want him to fight someone like Tyron Woodley, Nate Diaz, and Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is in tremendous shape at the minute, so he could jump in there. Some of that, of that level.
What do you think that's all about? I've seen the photos of Nick Diaz in shape. Why? Do you think he's coming back? Do you think he's fighting in the UFC?
I think he's, from what I've heard, he's been living in Vegas. A few people from my neck of the woods who have been on holiday in Vegas just say he's there. He lives parties every day. He lives there, and now I think he's probably just had enough. I don't think he drank alcohol until he was in his 30s. So he's probably just been enjoying his time, and now he's just he's sacked it all off, and he's back in training because this is what he lives for. He does triathlons and all that stuff, and he's in ridiculous shape. So I'm looking forward. I hope he fights. I think he's still got something to give, and it's just all about matching him right. Don't throw him there with some killer. But Jake Paul would be fun. That would be very fun. I think he'd smash his head in, and I think maybe a Dan Hardy if he wants to make a comeback. All these guys. There's a lot of fun fights to be had.
All right, matchup that got announced: Marlon Vera. Well, I don't know if it got announced, but maybe it's a rumor. I'm not sure. Marlon Vera to fight Davey Grant on June 19th in a rematch. What do you think?
Love it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Davey Grant. I think he's one of the nice guys in the game, and he's very, very underrated. I wanted them to get that Sean O'Malley fight, but obviously Sean O'Malley is skipping the queue. I think his star power allows him to do that, but Marlon Vera is probably the next best fight you can get. He's already got a win over him. Vera will want to get that one back. He's probably a better fighter now, and Davey will want to make it 2-0. Really fun fight, and as we say, I like to predict fight of the night, and that's pretty easy to predict when them two go on. It's going to be fun.
And I'll tell you what, Davey Grant, I don't think I've picked him in any of his latest fights, and he's just come through and pulled off finishes in all of them, especially that Jonathan Martinez one. Didn't see that coming, but the guys just look fantastic, and I don't think he's too young anymore. He's been around for quite a while, but he's just having like a renaissance. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with someone like Vera, who's this gritty, almost a veteran himself, but this gritty fighter that's willing to just go in there, and he's never been finished. I'm pretty certain of that. He's never been finished his career. So can Davey Grant do it this time? Who knows? It'll be interesting to see, won't it?
Yeah, and Davey's been unlucky with injuries and things like that. He could have had a really good, strong UFC career. This is the first time he's actually getting a run of fights, and it's great to see. And everything seems to be going well for him, and he's knocking out these guys, and it's savage knockouts as well. I'm sure he's took home a load of money from the UFC, and I'm sure he will in this one because it's got fun fights all over it, but. As you said, Cheeto's never been knocked out. I don't see Davey doing it. I imagine if he did, though, it'd be epic. So, yeah, really fun fight. Can't wait for that one.
Of course. That's pretty much everything I have. But I did want to ask you something. I know you spoke to Paddy Pimblett the other day. Who do you think he should fight when he debuts? Because I'm not familiar with him. You're clearly familiar with him being from the UK and whatnot. Where do you think he stacks up? Who should he be given on his debut?
The fact of the matter is he's one of the biggest signings the UFC have made from the UK ever. I know fighters have gone on and become, these huge stars, but Paddy Pimblett has been a star in the UK for years now. So that's why you're seeing his name everywhere. That's the fact that you don't know him and you're seeing him everywhere is because in the UK, everyone does know him. I like the Jaron Gordon fight. So we posted out our interview yesterday and he mentioned Gordon in the interview, and Jaron Gordon said, they were on Twitter just agreeing to a fight basically. And I really do like that fight. It's a tough level of competition. There's got some, there's a bit of, not animosity, but Jared Gordon beat Chris Fishgold, who's a part of Paddy's gym. And I think it puts him right in line. If you beat Jared Gordon, you're probably on your way to the rankings. Jared Gordon's a really strong fighter. So, for anyone who doesn't know Paddy Pimblett, I'd advise going and watching some highlights. He's got a couple of flying triangles in there. He's a really fun fighter, fun interview as well. So, yeah, keep an eye out for him.
Okay, well, that wraps up everything I have. Anything you got, or we're done?
No, I think we're done. Obviously, we've got a one card tonight. I'll be looking forward to watching. We won't go into that too much, but next time we'll speak about that. And yeah, as we said, PFL, thanks for coming on board. It's ESPN2 at 9 p.m. Eastern, did you say? And then it's 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus for the prelims. So yeah, can't wait to watch that one on Friday night as well. And then obviously we've got a big card on Saturday. So it's a good time to be an MMA fan. I'm glad we put all last week's stuff behind us and we can get back to a bit of normality, a bit of, some really good fights.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll speak to you after all these fights to recap the action.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.